Hi, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of The Cheer Guys, the sports show where we talk about cheer, we talk about dance, and we talk about the athleticism, the training, the competition, and all the great things that go on in our sport. Here with me, as always, is my co-host, Mr. Chase Brett. Chase, talk to us today.
How's it going, buddy? Yeah, we're back again with another episode of The Cheer Guys. It's another special guest episode, and we love these because we're bringing on industry people that have been doing this for a long time. Our focus lately has been some of the college coaches, just to try to figure out what's going on in their world and how their worlds have changed. This one is a dear friend of mine. We go way back, all the way back in the UCA days. I promised her we wouldn't date ourselves with all that, but we're so honored to have her here. The coach for the co-ed Alabama Crimson Tide cheerleaders, as well as one of the assistant coaches for our USA Nationals team. Help me welcome Miss Christa Grizzle Sanford. Thanks for joining us, Christa.
Thank you, guys. I'm so honored to be here, and I'm excited to talk to you guys.
Absolutely. Well, we are super excited to talk to you. You've got a ton of experience and a ton of things that you can share with us today. So we're going to jump right into our talking points because we want to get to know a little bit more about you. We want our listeners just to, if they've been under a rock for the past decade and don't know who you are, we want to introduce them to who you are and what you've done and where you come from. So just a quick version. I say the quick version, but take your time if you need to. Tell us about how you got into cheerleading, where it all began, and then we'll just kind of go from there.
Okay. Well, I'm from the state of Kentucky. I'm from a small town outside of Ashland, Kentucky. It's called Worthington. You can't find it on a map. So
what county is that? I know you Kentucky people. What county is that?
It is Greenup County.
Greenup. All right.
It is
County. Okay.
Greenup County, which is Greenup County High School. I did not go there, but very well known, very successful cheerleading program with a legend coach there as well, Miss Candy Berry. And so I grew up there. And as a little girl, I wanted to do all the things. I wanted to be in gymnastics. I wanted to be a dancer. There was power tumbling in my area. So I wanted to do power tumbling. I wanted to compete there. And then I wanted to do cheerleading. And so I think it got a little much for my family to handle with me wanting to do all the things. So I was told by my mom and dad that I could pick either gymnastics or dance, that they could go together, or I could do power tumbling and cheerleading, and that they could go together. So being that there were a few things in the gymnastics part that I didn't just love, but I loved tumbling and I loved cheerleading, I chose that path. So it was really great because I had coaches very different in each one of those that poured into me. So I had 4 different coaches, but the coaches on the power tumbling and the cheer side kind of that matched my personality. It matched my goals. It matched kind of my excitement at that time in my life. And so that's where it happened. And I think I was around 8 years old. And that came from watching my cousins tumble in the backyard. And I was like, ooh, you did a back bend. I'm going to do that. Oh, you did a back handspring. Let me try. My mother stopped and went,
Before you start,
yeah, she was like,
at 8 years old.
Right. She was like, before you start anything else, like, I think I need to get you some classes. So that's where, and it took off from there. So it's been a wonderful adventure to date.
And so when you got into, you cheered in high school and then you cheered in college?
I cheered in high school. I cheered in college. And I was a power tumbler as well on the side. Oh, really? That I was competitive in. Mm-hmm.
Cool. And so you cheered at Morehead State. Now this is for Myron Dawn. Tell us about this.
A legend in himself right there.
Give us just a brief, like you started off there. I know you were on the co-ed team. I know you were also on one of the first all-girl teams coached by both of our buddy, Mr. Mike Cooper. Is that right? Wasn't he part of that?
Cooper, I cheered with Mike Cooper, but he did not coach. He was graduating when I was coming in. I'm not going to age him, but and he's just a few years older than me. But I was honored to be on a team with him and win a national championship with him.
You were on the co-ed team together.
We were on the co-ed team together my very first year, and he was, I think, close to his junior or senior year of college when I came in. Yeah.
Very cool. And then you said you did the all-girl, or what?
I did. I did the all-girl, and it was closer. I kind of had a little college break in there, and then came back into the world of college cheerleading again, or just getting kind of my life together, kind of doing a better path again. And with that, I did both co-ed and all girl, but that's where kind of I started getting into the all girl in college, because that's where it was really starting to fire up. And really, I think it really started at Morehead State. And so it was really cool to not have done that and watch them start doing the things that our co-ed team was doing. So when Myron approached me and said, hey, do you want to help coach it? And I said, well, yeah. And then it kind of turned into, well, hey, you're still a student here. And your skills are there. Do you want to compete with them and kind of finish out your career and this year with it? And I was like, well, why not? I've not done this yet, in a competitive atmosphere. So I went and I was on the first all-girl championship at Morehead State.
That speaks to some major versatility on your part, because you just labeled a lot of things there. You went from being a co-ed athlete to, hey, do you want to coach? But hey, while you're coaching, do you also want to now be an all-girl athlete? I mean, that speaks to a lot of the talent that you had. But both speaking to your coaching and to, to have a program want you to coach that and be able to do that. So that it explains why you've made it to the position that you're in.
Right. It gives her the versatility of knowing, she came from a co-ed team. She went to, and then of course we talk about our UCA days too. I mean, I have been right next to Christa when she's running the biggest camps at Ole Miss or Alabama or whatever, and the Eagles there, and Cooper's on the mic, and everybody's stressed out, and she's running around making sure the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted. So she's got a lot of experience doing that stuff. When you got out of cheerleading, how did you know you wanted to coach, and what path did you go from there?
Well, I think first of all, it started at Morehead, like as I was finishing kind of my college degree and being there under Myron Doan and just kind of his leadership and just kind of, I guess, the confidence and I guess what he was doing to me that I didn't really know he was doing to me at the time, and what he was building in me, because I looked up to him and he was mentoring me the whole time. And I didn't really know that. I just thought I was a part of something great and I'm just one of the cheerleaders. But he was giving me opportunities and putting me in a position that I really didn't know to date that I would be in. And he was setting me up for that the entire time, and giving me those opportunities. So I coached the 2001 and 2002 all-girl team, kind of under his direction, at Morehead State. And then that was when I left and moved to Alabama to run the cheer gym. And so from the UCA background, running camps, running things like that, it wasn't necessarily intimidating for me, but it was very challenging. And it kind of gave me, I don't want to say a high, but it was something that I really enjoyed. Like I loved the challenge and I loved meeting the people and I loved learning, new teams and new groups of people. And so moving to Tuscaloosa, Alabama to run a cheer gym, which All Star at that time, and I'm really dating myself, was also becoming, it was coming bigger across the country. And so that was new for me because I did not grow up in an all-star gym. That was a new thing that I had not experienced. I had been in gyms learning tumbling or, training power tumbling, but all-star cheerleading was not a thing.
Right.
And so this gym had been 1 year in existence, and they were like, do you want to come manage it? Because I came to the University of Alabama and managed camps. And they were the owners. And I said, well, yeah, like, let's go. I'm at that point in my life where it's time to find some adventure. So, and that's where I'm still here. So I love my adventure and it's brought me some great things. But so I moved, and I think all along he was setting me up for, that success and to have confidence in those opportunities from the foundation that was laid there at Morehead State. And so I think all the people that I've surrounded myself with to help me with that has been what has been so great about, I think, where I am today.
Well, Myron's definitely a hero and a mentor to a lot, with just his actions, the way that he handled himself. And I think that leaked, a lot of us took that and say, this is what kind of coach I want to be, and I think you definitely did that. You're a very, very strong coach. I was telling Daniel, I was like, don't let her size fool you. Any guy that's ever cheered for her knows that, she is dynamite. So, but when we talk about coaching, we talk about our mentors and things like that. You kind of breezed on past your legacy that you left at Shelton State. And I know that you were there for quite a while. How many championships was it in a row?
10.
10, 2 digits in a row, which is something that is, it's unheard of, really. And I know in that division, I've coached Jones, and there have been other teams that are just extremely competitive. But to do that 10 years in a row, there was some secret to the sauce. Could you share that secret right now, do you think?
I don't know what the secret is. I think I definitely think my experience in coming from, Morehead State and kind of what that program, put into me and what I was able to see from that and how success worked within that program. And once again, the mentorship of Myron and the leadership. I called him many, many times. And to this day, in the back of my mind, when I'm in one of those moments, I'm like, what would Myron do? What would Myron do? And so I think just constantly my love for cheerleading, my love for college cheerleading, and then also looking at Shelton State and in that, in the junior college world, learning that there's a different athlete there that sometimes I feel like is overlooked. And that athlete is still very hungry and they still have, high ambition and they have a direction they want to go. And, they also have another step in their process. Like they're not at their final destination really. And so I think having that kind of athlete too also helped part of the process is they were very hungry and, 2 years there, then they had another goal. And so starting that at Shelton State and being able to talk to my administrators there and just be like, there's so much incredible talent just in the Tuscaloosa area, but also in surrounding counties, the opportunity that it provides with scholarship, those kinds of things. I think that if we, entertain the idea, it could be something great. And I think their support and believing in what I was talking to them about was also very helpful. And so I think, I was very blessed and very lucky.
Well, you painted a picture for them and they fell in love with that picture. And they saw after that first year that you won, that it wasn't just talk, that they could actually do this. And then after that, I'm sure, recruiting, here's the things about junior colleges, because I was right there with you. You lose them just as quick as you get them. And so you're starting over every 2 years, and trying to rebuild these teams and still remain competitive. But the scholarships are amazing. A lot of kids need that 13th, 14th grade to make sure that they're ready for, college, the real college. And then of all these universities, we need feeders. Universities need feeder colleges that can produce good athletes that needed those extra couple of years to learn how to study, get good grades, and mature before they came into a university situation. So now you're the coach, you're the Myron that's getting called from that coach at Shelton who's going, hey, Coach Christa, what would you do in this situation, right?
Well, and we asked about the secret sauce. You described the secret sauce, not in that you were alone figuring out a secret sauce. You had a network, you had a mentor, there's others who you mentor, and you had this kind of rolling over passing of the torch that constantly, one, you were open enough and wise enough to know, I'm not quite sure how to do this. I'm going to go get advice on it. And you brought in these other people from, your background that were able to help with that success. So that speaks to your ability to coach and put the kids first where they are and build that and openness. I think you just described the secret sauce in there. That's a part of the system you have to get into.
Yeah. So all our listeners took out of that, and what they should is rely on your resources. Don't ever think that you know it all, and have a big dream. And I think that's part of, if you had to talk to your athletes out there right now, the juniors, the seniors in high school, even the junior college kids that you have connections with, there's a message out there now with it being a pandemic, recruiting being very different, all these things. What would you say to them right now, as far as, preparing themselves for college and maybe even the Olympics now. We have the USA national team, all these things that these kids have in front of them now. What would you say to these juniors and seniors in high school to help prepare them and get them ready?
Well, I think, the Olympics being now, there's another platform to continue to grow to, beyond college, like
Right.
part of college, but also another piece to
Right.
cheerleading
We need
and the
that.
cheerleading industry. And all the, for those that are really working towards that next, my thing is dream big. I wanted to
Yes,
be a
yes,
college
ma'am.
coach, but I really didn't. I looked and I was elated with Shelton State. I look back on that and think, how lucky was I to be a part of, a community college I knew nothing about, when I moved to Alabama. And then the success that was happening and the kids, what I was learning and the relationships that I was making that are lifelong, and for it to get bigger. And, to me, the dream was already as big as it was going to be at Shelton State. And then to be at the University of Alabama, to be a U.S. national team coach, my dream grew without me even having to dream it. Like, it kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And so don't think anything is impossible. And just keep dreaming, keep dreaming. When it gets hard, such as a pandemic, such as injuries, such as maybe things aren't going your way, continue to dream. Don't close the door, because I do think with the Olympic possibility, we don't know all how it's going to work into that, but I think that that's an incredible thing to strive for. All the things,
Absolutely.
college, hopefully once you get a college degree, you no longer will be an athlete. However, there's another platform. There's an Olympic platform where you can continue. And that's where the U.S. national team, there's so many athletes that they've been out of college for 6 years and they are still growing as humans and as athletes. And they are amazing leaders in the industry who are still also athletes, and they're still dreaming big. So
I
That's
completely
awesome.
agree. Completely
And
agree.
possibility breeds more possibility. I mean, the openness of where the industry has come for competitive cheer, to reach that pinnacle of being in the Olympics, which is something that has been on the docket and talked about for the last 10, 15, 20 years. How do we do this? How do we accomplish it? And now that it's here, there's so many other possibilities that are out there for where we're going. So it's exciting times. Very exciting.
very exciting, very exciting.
It is. So if you were a junior or senior out there and you were trying to get exposed to Alabama cheerleading, what would your advice be as far as, we know now it's become a virtual world. Is it basically send me all your videos, send me as much stuff as you can? I'm going to have to go through. Is that your life now? Are you having to go through videos and try to decide, is this person really that good, or are they stunting with somebody who's amazing? Like it would be a lot harder, I'm sure.
There is a very much a new virtual world. There was
Right.
already a little bit of it, but I don't think we labeled it as much as we did during the pandemic or the start of the pandemic. I felt like
Right.
that took on a whole new label and definition and work. But yeah, I think also there's a lot of things that were learned. I think it was not used enough. Now maybe it's a little bit overused. But at the same time, you gotta put yourself out there, because this is, a world where we don't get to connect with every single possibility. And so, yes, if it is of true interest, if, you feel like you fit, then definitely reach out, send us, the videos, make a connection, but also attend clinics, keep the social media world and the positive part of it. Keep it feeding what is positive about yourself, in the sport, to where we can continue to, as college coaches, to connect with those that maybe we're missing, because of this pandemic and because of the limitations that are on it. I think I'm not just speaking for Alabama. I think I'm speaking for all college coaches. Is we want to connect, we want to reach you,
Absolutely.
but with limitations. We do feel like we're missing some, and we already felt like we did before because we couldn't, a time schedule was a limitation and where we could go, but now you're not allowed to do this, you're not allowed to do that, So we want you to reach out. You can reach out to me personally. It does make it difficult with a long list, but we don't want to miss you. We don't want, we're getting to you. So I would definitely say you can reach out to me personally. You can reach the Alabama Cheer email, connect with us on social media, and we'd love to talk to you.
Yeah. And that's what I was kind of thinking too. The social media game, obviously people have their Instagrams have become their, way to expose themselves to
their resume, if you will.
Resume.
It is the resume.
That's what it's become.
And
it is the resume.
It's interesting to see the way it's gone. And I know with you college coaches, y'all have got your hands full adapting, but you're also getting exposed to so many more people. I mean, I'll say this real quick before we go into our full outs, and I'll do this for all the college coaches out there, is do your research before you walk in or send videos to certain programs. Know what their requirements are, know what kind of program they are, so that you are sending your stuff.
Know the difference between a high V and an Alabama high V.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I wanted to throw that in there because that's a thing.
That is a thing. And you're right. I do shuffle through a lot of those kind of conversations of, do you have a cheer team, or do you, questions that I feel like research was not done.
Right.
And
you cheer in front of 90,000 people.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are things you need to know.
It's a pretty cool environment. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
If you have anxiety and you've never cheered before in your life, then maybe that's not the program you should be looking into, because that is an obvious huge thing for you guys, is game day traditions, that sort of thing. So yeah, just do your research, people. That'll help the coaches out a lot because they've got enough to look through as it is. So thank you so much.
And we don't want you to miss, as a college coach, we don't want you to miss your opportunity too by not looking down your right path.
Right.
Obviously, the sport is going to end eventually for most, but at the same time, set yourself up for success instead of failure. So
beautifully put. Thank you. Well, we'll move right on into our full out. This is where Daniel takes over for a minute. We have a little fun with our guests. So everybody sit back and let's enjoy it.
All right, guys. So we're going to go into our full out portion, everybody. One of the things that we love about this section is, just like a routine, we put the coaches on the spot just a little bit. They're going to go full out on these topics. We're going to give them 2 minutes and 30 seconds. See if they can cover every thought, every part of it. See if what their opinion is. We're going to bounce back and forth with them. But we only get 2 minutes and 30 seconds for each segment. We got a couple of fun topics today.
Coach Sanford, are you ready to go full out?
Let's go full out.
All right, 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Here we go. And the music is on. So old school versus new school. What do you think? Was it harder? Was it easier? Was the athleticism? Is the athleticism of these athletes coming out doing full up rewinds on the sideline as opposed to the toss libs that we did back in the day? Who's got it harder? And I know that a lot of people would say, paving the way was harder, but there's a lot to both sides of that argument. Go full out. Tell us what you think.
I think old school mentality was really, really strong. I think obviously the sport has grown. So definitely there's a challenge with the athleticism in the new school, because I think it has to get better in the new versus the old. There has to be that challenge. But I think the old school mentality was very strong. And so I feel like that the new school could be a little stronger in the mentality. And I think that that's a new challenge with harder skills for the new school.
Right.
So, and I think old school just knew what they knew, and so they think that they, old school, because I think I'm old school, we were amazing.
Right.
New
That's
school
right.
would challenge, and that would be, but I think old school mentality might, come.
I think the big part of that, I think you're talking about the mentality. I think the mentality is a lot of old school. We created a lot of the training and the skills that kind of got us here. I think that old school mentality is one where when we saw someone do a skill, we didn't think, I want to be like that or do that. We thought, I'm going to go beyond that. I'm going to be better than that. Whereas now you got a lot of athletes who see the top, and like the top is the top and there's not the beyond. Right. And that's the mentality. I think the new school, no doubt, doing some of the skills they throw, I would break my back in half at this point.
Look, Colin blows my mind weekly by some of the stuff that he does, no doubt.
Absolutely.
I mean, yeah, I definitely did not. Some of the skills that I'm still continuing to coach, I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
How did you do that?
Never thought of that one before.
You go like, well, all right then.
But
that's really cool. Let's do it.
Think about old school versus new school and the fact of how much information and how much education there is to be shared nowadays versus when we were coming up. I mean, our coaches were great, but Myron wasn't a cheerleading coach. He couldn't tell you how to do a full up or a full. Right. He was, he was the mentality. He was there to coach your character and your mentality. And that's why I feel like we had it a little bit harder, because we were filling up to the left and then the light bulb, let's go to the right. We can turn our hand over.
Let's go a different direction.
Yeah. And so those things to me is what made it harder on us. Obviously, I mean, the skills are taking guys and girls these days to be awesome. Used to, a big guy, little girl could pull off, a stunt, but nowadays if the girl can't do a Diama dive up to hand ski and hold herself, then she's not
an O-noti double and a half up.
Yeah, exactly.
I know. Isn't it so cool?
I love it. It's good stuff. All right, jumping straight into our next one. We're going to give Chase the deduction on that one because Chase takes over. So you're already a couple points ahead of him. It's Chase on that one.
Catch up.
Recruiting. Talking about the atmosphere of recruiting for cheer these days. Some schools and college coaches have budgets. Some don't. Some coaches are looking for a very specific type of athlete. Some look for high school only because they know they can perform on the sidelines and they're going to have that look. Some are looking for the all-star athlete with the high skill, but there's become this like hybrid of both that's out there now. What are you looking at? What do you think is better? And what do you think that we need to move towards so that we can come up with the best college athletes?
I do think that there is a fit within every program. And I think, speaking on behalf of the University of Alabama, I think that there's a specific character that fits in our program. And I think that number one, that's the most important, is that character is going to fit versus just a high skilled athlete, because I think because of our character and that foundation that is built for many years ago and that there gives growth for the high skilled athletes. So is there high school versus a transfer? No, it's really what is going to fit the best, because I feel like there's a big pool that everybody thinks that they're going to fit, and everybody can go by skill and but I think when it boils down to your goals, where you're going, how it fits in the character and the camaraderie and the things that work within our program, that is part of our recruiting look.
So it's not just the athleticism.
Not just the athleticism.
Not just the athleticism. You gotta have that and more. There's a plus one that you gotta go through. Plus. And okay, I see it. And
it makes it a very difficult challenge when you might be juggling, but typically the character is going to rise higher, and that starts more of the relationship building and what you're starting to learn in the process of recruiting, and that's why we do want to make those connections.
Well, I'm going to get another deduction here because I'm just curious in the fact that being an all-star gym owner, like you are, and then also I'm sure you have your hand in, probably a little high school here and there, whatever, but then coaching at that college SEC level, you're talking about character, and that is not, and I mean, I'm an old all-star gym owner. It is not promoted in the sport of all-star cheerleading as much as it is in the scholastic realm, where it's about character or where it's more about sportsmanship so those are the things that we feel like people are leaning towards. Well, I'm okay with an all-star athlete as long as they have some sideline experience and some sideline coaching to bring something a little bit more to the table. So I think in my specific gym, we are working towards the college, trying to prepare you for the next level, not necessarily to the pinnacle championship in all-star cheerleading.
So we are working to develop the athlete so that the dreaming can be bigger than just the one trophy that maybe won't happen again. We want them to carry these traits and characteristics with them as long as while we are doing the sport, like while we're
Right,
doing the
absolutely.
cool part, the cool part. So we're probably not always the most popular gym or maybe teaching environment sometimes because, we're feeding a different side.
Well, you're
I
actually going
appreciate
to
that.
you're actually going to segue right into our last full out topic. So we went a little over there, but that was good information.
Okay.
We did that.
Yeah, I wanna-
Our last one, and we're going to go. I think this one's going to be a fun one to go full out on. Training style. When you're coaching an athlete, kids, I know I had to grow into having thicker skin from my coaches. My coaches were hardcore. I actually had a Morehead State University coach at one point. I had a former Mississippi State and a former Mississippi College head coach that all pushed me, and I had to grow into a place where I could handle the blunt, almost offensive manner of a coach, but that's not what it's meant to be at all. Tell me your thoughts on coaching styles. Some coaches want to allow an athlete to grow and say they can send an athlete over here and say, you need to go do this, and they'll do it? Or is it better to have that hardcore on top of them approach where you're in their face and pushing them to keep going to that next level over and over? Go full out. What do you think?
I think first of all, there's got to be balance. And I get wrapped up into the hardcore push because I see the potential. I know where it can go. And I think my success and the things that I've been able to experience through that has put me in the position for that push. However, I've also gotten myself caught into that's not working. Pull back, find that balance, find what's going to work because my push at that point isn't working. So I think there is the athlete that is kind of needs this. There's the athlete that needs you to dig under and dig well because they thrive that way. And then there's the one that just wants to be quiet over on the side and wants you to leave them alone. They want to do their thing. And as you're finding out all of those things, sometimes you feel like it's too late, but usually they'll start rising exactly the way that they were supposed to rise. I am hard on the push in the competitive environment, in the life, learning those characteristics, character traits, being strong humans. So, the line of respect is very huge for me, and making sure that you respect the whole and the people and the process. So I will dig in there, but in a skill learning environment, I can also let things just happen as they're supposed to. So I think balance is such a huge thing. Now, when my younger self would not have ever said that, but my older self has learned that. So
it's amazing how the older you get in coaching, and I have 3 gyms in Middle Georgia now, and we're training facilities only. We don't have any All-Stars anymore. We had a nice 12-year run at All-Stars. I've coached college. I've done a little bit here and there in it, and it's amazing to see myself now versus my mid-20s where that push was just a part of it. You had to be in it versus now. I don't feel like it's as much of a need because you kind of look at an athlete and go, well, wait a minute. If I just give them this much push and then give them the vision for the rest, they'll do it on their own.
Right. 100% agree. And I'm sorry, my phone is, if you can hear my computer.
Oh, no, you're fine. No, you're good.
My messages are coming in on my computer. I don't know why.
Look, I'm freaking out over here. I thought I turned my stuff up. I thought it was me.
Yeah, I'm looking down. Is it me? Who is it?
I'm getting texts too. I got 9 of them right now. I'm like, holy crap.
Old school versus new school, technology issues.
Yeah, there you go.
For the old school, new school, probably would have figured out how to turn that off. So there's
virtual world
myself. Quit, people.
Thanks for going full out with us. That's we like to have a little bit of fun, just kind of put you on the spot on some of those things because it's good to get that right off the top of your head, kind of breath of what do you really think about some of that stuff. But thanks for being with us on the show. How can we plug the University of Alabama Crimson Tide cheer program for you to just let people know how they can contact you and get in touch and just go to that next level with showing you who they are to come be a part?
Follow us on our Instagram, Alabama_RTR, I believe, Alabama Cheer. I am so sorry about this. But I follow us on Instagram. I mean, we're
Social
showing
media,
like
yes, ma'am.
what a day in the life is like here at the University of Alabama. And I think it's definitely through my career and what I've been able to see, it's the greatest place in the world to be. And I'm not talking about just it encompasses everything: student life, academics, sports, game day life. It is just really an exciting place to be. And my old self definitely might have been entertained if I know what I know now.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
So
awesome.
it's really an
Thank
amazing
you so
place for
much. My mom's
college
a
athletes.
huge Alabama fan, so she'll be super proud of me on this one, and it hurts my soul. But for you, Krista, roll tide, roll.
Roll
Good luck.
Tide, roll.